AppleiPodParts.com here, and today, with help of my colleague doing the handiwork and my voiceover, we're going to show you how to do a touchscreen digitizer on an iPad Air. It's an iPad Air 1, so it's not got the fingerprints, and it's had a few dings you can see in the corner there, but it's pretty straightforward screen repair. The LCD works fine. So we're going to start with the tools. This is a screw separator tray we sell on our site. It's great little compartments for all the screws. The infamous iSesamo tool. This is absolutely fantastic. We helped them develop it. And a couple of non-marking tools. These are sacrificial. They break before you damage your eye, whatever. And then a Phillips screwdriver for some of the internal screws. You get all these tools on our site, AppleiPodParts.com, on the tool section, and obviously all the parts. So we start with the iPad. It's been in our temperature-controlled oven for probably about 30-40 minutes at relatively low temperature. Tend to be about 50 degrees. And this softens the adhesive, allows for loads of heat soak, but it doesn't pound it with enormous heat. We tend to stay away from heat guns, although you can if you're gentle with heat guns, but you get a lot of heat soak. So here my colleague Damien is going about getting in between the glue and the chassis of the iPad with the iSesamo tool. It's fantastically thin and flexible, and it's great for just breaking the glue bond. Not my choice in jewellery, but each to their own. So here we go. So obviously what you've got to do with the iSesamo is you put it into enough to break the glue bond, but not going too far so that you kind of impede onto the LCD or do any damage beyond the glue bond. It's pretty tricky. You have to take your time. And then as you go, as you work your way around, obviously you've got to mind for the breakages. It's not too bad if it's not too many breakages, but obviously the more crap the digitizer is, the harder it's going to be. Sometimes you might have to sort of reapply heat and just take your time. You also need to be aware of where there are sort of the cables you need to watch out for, and we'll get to that as we work around. But the key is just take your time. You can see you've got my colleague here has a glove that he's using just to literally gently lift the screen away, and as he's running down the adhesive, lifting the screen just enables the adhesive to break a little bit easier. But you don't want to go too far so that it shatters the screen, but there is an element of bend in it. So you know that you can, but you can feel it as you do it, as you lift it. You can feel when you get into the limit of sort of where it's going to go. And all the time, wear eye protection, wear gloves where you can, and just protect yourself from the glass. So as you work around here, there's obviously the camera hole there, so you're going to be careful when you get on there. The glue is going to narrow, so you just need to be not going in quite so far that you could damage anything. You see my colleague still holding the digitizer, and he's going to run his way. And he's found his way into that corner, and he's running his way down the right hand side of the iPad. It's a tricky process. It all gets a bit sticky in this glass, so yeah, just take your time. So you can get all the tools and the parts that you need on AppleiPodParts.com if you want it. There's a discount code in the notes as well from YouTube, so that'll give you a little bit of money off. And all you need. I know I ramble on. People have commented that I ramble on, but what I'd rather do is tell you guys all the key information and go into too much detail than not enough, and you sieve through a cable that's going to wreck your chances of repairing it, or you're going to need more parts, and that's just going to add to frustration. I don't want that, and I certainly know you guys don't. So as you come down here, you can see a cable there. That's the cable that goes from the digitizer to the iPad. So you be careful. You see my colleagues pointing out here. That's the cable for the iPad. So you just don't need to go in quite so deeply, and just be careful. Obviously, if the digitizer is broken, you're not too worried about it, but it's best not to go too far. If you're doing a battery or an LCD and the screen's okay on the outside, then obviously, you don't want to be breaking the cables for that. And then at the bottom, right here, where my colleague's showing as well, the cable's in there for the home button. So again, lift it, get a little torch in there. It's steady progress. Have a look, do a little bit more sort of adhesive breaking, have another look, and just constantly go back and forth. Really do take your time on this until you've done a few, if you're planning on doing a few, that is. So yeah, just kind of take it easy. So the home button is down here, so you need to be careful of how you go. Then yeah, it's just a case of taking your time. Don't forget, we always advise that obviously you guys watch these videos thoroughly before ordering any parts, just to know what you're getting yourself into. But also bear in mind that the guys at AppleiPodParts.com, we're here to help. So we're not there just to sell you bits and tools. Unlike many others, we produce these guides for free for a start, because we feel quite passionate about people repairing their devices. We want to help. We only sell the best parts. We're never going to be the cheapest, but then I don't believe that the cheapest parts are going to be the best for your device. I don't believe there's much point in having a really expensive parts and with some really low grade, poor quality parts. So that's kind of our ethos. But we're here to help. We've got the contact link on the side of the website. That pretty much that gets answered every day, weekdays. We're in the office 9 to 5 in the UK GMT every single weekday, and we get to back to people as quick as we can. Sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes the odd part gets faulty. We sell so many of them, it does happen. But we also have a pretty faultless returns system. We're here to help. Simple as that. You get in touch with us. You've got a problem, we'll talk you through it. We've got engineers that repair these in our workshops all day, so they're available to help as well for free. We don't charge for help at all. We're on the end of the phone, on the end of email. We literally, we're the human aspect of this parts market. We don't just sell parts. We help you repair as much as we can. And then if you get too far where you can't, you can send it in to us and our workshops can repair it for you. Just get in touch. Any problems at all. We really are here to help you. So we've got a great return system. You get a free, in the UK, free returns label in every parts that get sent out. Worldwide we ship, and there's return labels in there as well. So here you go. Obviously Damien now has lifted the Digitizer. It hinges to the right hand side, and you can see the two cables he's pointing out there for the home button at the bottom right, and the cable there he's pointing out for the Digitizer. They disappear under the LCD, and so you need to remove the LCD to get it any further off. But that's the Digitizer coming away. Like I said, take your time, reapply heat if you need to. It's best to take your time on that one. So here we go with the, what's he up to now? So obviously, he's showing you the screw holes there. So the screw in each corner of the LCD is under a bit of adhesive, so you might have to remove a little bit of glue there just to get to them. And there's one there and one there. They're little Phillips. This is the professional. Oh, there he is. You can see the reflection of Damien. Hello. The little professional Phillips screwdriver, the blue-handled one, we sell on the site. We also sell the kind of the cheaper, more disposable ones as well. But the blue one's great for repeated use. We use them in our workshops. We repair commercially and domestically for all sorts of customers, from big companies, education and insurance companies, down to guys that just walk off the street and need it repairing. So we know what we're doing, and we use our parts, so we're the best position to be able to tell you what you need to do or help you, or in any way, shape or form. It's not a case we don't get it and sell it and have no idea what we're doing. We know the quality of our parts. Sometimes we get batches in we're not happy with, we send them back. That's simple. If we're not happy with it, we're not happy selling it, and if we're not happy selling it, we're not happy that you get it. So the 4 screws, and then gently lift the LCD out. Very, very flexible and sort of fragile piece. But and then you've got access here to the cables that you need. So this bracket here is a bit like the iPhone 6 Plus, the 6 and the 5s actually. These brackets are in place to hold the cables down and get a bit of shielding as well. So 3 little Phillips screwdrivers, not screwdriver. 3 screws, they come off, and he's putting the screws into our little plastic separator tray that you can get on our website, and that way you can keep it all separate, because you've got to keep the right screws in the right places. So here there's a little, you can see he's lifting the cable off, and it looks like, by the look of it, what's actually happened is the bracket's stuck to the back of the connector, so you have to gently lift the connector off with the bracket and then separate the two with this, what's he going to use, the non-marking tool. And this is a sacrificial tool that it will break before your device does, or damage it. So it's just using that to run along the back of the cable. Again, if you're keeping the LCD, be really gentle with it. Can't emphasise that enough. But obviously they do tend to stick together a bit. So there's the LCD. We'll move that out of the way and keep that safe, because that's okay. And then we're down to kind of the connectors there. Use really gentle tactics to lift these connectors. I always say on all my guides, if you've ever seen any of the others, is if you have to force it, then there's something wrong. Stop, have a breather, go back. So this little connector is for the home button, It's a case of lifting the connector up, and any tape that you take off that's on top of cables or connectors, put it to one side and reuse it. It's there for a reason. Apple put things in for a reason. There's a little home button connector there, and off comes the digitizer, the little home button cable and the 2 digitizer cables there. Put that to one side. But yeah, if you feel like you're forcing something, then stop, have a breather. Now take all the glass shards off of the table, swipe them into the bin, just so that if you're moving the iPad around on the table, you're not scratching it with little glass particles. And then it's going to go about it looks quite quite brutal how he's using this R-Small, and this is a little metal spatula that can also get on the site, but he's done hundreds of these, as our chaps in the workshops have, so he's knowing what he's doing. So I'd say take a bit more caution. Make sure that you're not going into anything that's underneath the digitizer, the glue layer, and also it might be worth putting it back into putting a little bit more heat on, because the glue does come off better with heat. So if you have to put it back somewhere warm, or a little bit of a heat gun, but just be careful. If you're using a heat gun, concentrate heat can melt anything under it, in its blast. So really is worth taking your time. I'll ramble on, so what I'll probably do is accelerate the coverage a little bit, but I don't like to do that too much, because I like you seeing everything. There might be something that I think is insignificant that you get to, that you need a little bit of reassurance and seeing on the video. So again, if I ramble on, sorry. If you don't like my videos, don't watch them, but I really am trying to do it for you guys, so give you the best possible chance of preparing yourself. Again, all the tools and the parts and the advice, give us a call, use the contact link on the side of the website. Get in touch. We'll answer as soon as we can. We're only human. We're phenomenally busy, but we pretty much get back to everyone that we can. So bear with us. We're incredibly busy and popular, but we also want to help everyone. So there you go. My colleague has now cleaned the surround of the iPad really thoroughly. He'll also give it a wipe with isopropyl, just to make sure it's doubly clean. And the better the surface, the better the digitizer will stick to it, and the more permanently it will. So obviously you really do need a fantastic surface. And so we've got the new screen from our stock, obviously, in our stores. You can get these from our site, AppleiPodParts.com, and we're going to have to do a bit of transferring over. Now, as I said earlier, anything that you see in the iPad or the screen or any bits, it needs to be put back. Any parts that aren't on one, and some of a lot of the parts need parts transferring over. Some are full assemblies, some aren't. But there's so many bits to it that you need to transfer some things over, and they're there for a reason. They're not there to be missed. Apple wouldn't waste their time putting, 12 million bits of tape on an iPad or on iPads if it wasn't necessary, because they could just make that cost saving. So here we go. We're going to go in with the 2 connectors there, and you basically use your finger, because what you're doing is you're gently moving it around in like a circular motion, and they find their own way. Once you feel that they're in place, then you can put a bit of pressure and push them down. But again, you never force them, ever force them. So you're going to put the connectors down. I believe these looks like he's going to actually trial the digitizer to make sure it's all working okay. Make sure that is the problem. We get all sorts of devices in for different reasons. So yeah, the connectors, you never ever force them. Take them off, refit them, have another go, have a cup of coffee, come back. Take your time. But using your finger just enables you to. You see the anti-static wristband there. We use those everywhere as well. It's a must. Really stops you static damaging anything. And he's basically putting the connector down for the LCD. But use your finger and you use your feel to see when the connector is on top of where it should be, and then you just gently apply the force down, and there isn't much that's needed, and you get a nice confirmation kind of sort of input when they're pressed down. It's that's when you know that they're at home, and then you're happy from there on in. So it needs some charge, so I'm just going to make sure, basically trial the iPad with the charge. So it's come with the battery logo. We'll split the clip now until magically it's all charged up. There we go. There was no point watching paint dry on that one. So it's always worth, you know, we're going to trial the parts if you, as long as you're careful, because obviously you have not fitted them properly. We do get the odd faulty part, but even for your own peace of mind, if you're trying to diagnose a problem, you don't want to be gluing the screen down and finding out that it's not the screen. So yeah, we're trialing the part to make sure that we don't go through the whole process for no reason, and there's something else that's wrong. So you know, it's worth making sure the touch from corner to corner, edge to edge, top to bottom is all working fine. LCD's okay, and that we're happy. All the buttons work okay as well. So there we go. Now we're going to take it all apart and start doing all the crossover stuff. You know, as I said earlier, things like tapes, little foam pads for connectors, brackets all need to be put back in place. And yeah, it's a long process, but worth it. So, obviously, you know, used to fingertips and the sort of the nails that he's got to lift the connectors up. So again, I prefer that because you can feel exactly what you're doing. You're not going too much in with the tool. You push too hard on the tool, you'll break connectors off boards and all sorts, and that's a world of pain. So, right, what we're going to do is transfer from the old screen, that camera bracket there, and the home button. Some you transfer more, some you transfer over less. iPad minis are a great one. So the iPad Air home button, this cable here, is just stuck down gently. So it's a case of just gently peeling it back. Again, my colleague here has done so many of these. He makes it look easy, but you guys need to take your time. I would, and he is. But he knows also, you know, how much to pull it around. Be careful you don't break the cable, but again, we do all the parts on our site. So yeah, he's obviously lifted the home button cable there. You can select the right tool. You need to lift there's two adhesive pads under the home button, either side of the home button. And we're going to do the ISSMO. Again, you can find this on the tool, on our website. And it's good for breaking the glue between the pad and the old screen. I would probably put a little bit of gentle heat on the other side of this, or maybe put it in somewhere warm. Again, it just eases the adhesive, makes your life easier. So you're going to slide the ISSMO just gently, bit by bit, break the glue, minding the cables, minding your fingers, and away it comes. Obviously, one part's glued down, the other part's on a piece of broken glass, so it's come away quite easily. Otherwise, you'd go under both sides of the home button to break the bond. You're going to then clean the glue off. It's like a gel type adhesive, so the ISSMO, you can almost roll it off with your fingers, but you're also, you know, that you've got glass on the side that you need to sort of bring it off with the ISSMO. Just slides in there. It's ideal because it's such a thin steel blade almost, but it's not quite a blade. It's like a spatula that it's just enough to get in there. Again, mind your fingers. It's really fiddly, but it needs to be done. And like I said, with the same with the surround on the chassis, and anywhere that you glue on glue contact, is the cleaner you can get it. And it's a must, to be honest. It's not even as clean as you can get it. You need to take all the old glue off, all of the old debris, no bubbles of this glue, because sometimes when this glue debonds, even one or the other, it forms bubbles, and if the bubbles are there, your screen won't stick down properly, and then your screen will lift, and you'll get hacked off because you'll have to do it again. So you really do need to take your time to clean all remnants of everything off of any surface that has to be re-glued. You can also get the glue from our site. You can get the pre-cut adhesive for the screen. You can also get the pads of adhesive that you can cut to your own size on our tools page as well. So the home button just lifts out. There's a little bit of glue around that black surround of the home button, but if you peel it off gently, then it should just re-stick in. And then you've also got this little surround that you need to carry over as well. Yeah, where the home button sticks to. So with that little spacer out, we can put that on the bench. Keep that as flat as possible. We're going to go for the camera locator as well. This locates the top screen, and it's the camera lens as well. You slide the ISSMO underneath there, trying to keep it as flat as possible. If you put any bends in that camera bracket, just gently flatten them out with your finger as well. It's only thin. And that's the old screen done. Like I said, on some of the other, like the iPad minis and things, there's a lot of tape you need to cross over and some magnets as well. But on the iPad Air, it's relatively straightforward, as with the old iPads. So you can make those bits, put them safely, and then clean your bench top, because obviously any glass shards on there will scratch the back of your iPad as you're building it back up, and it makes it a bit ugly. So new screen out of stock, and from AppleiPodParts.com. and we just peel the backing off of that. That's obviously there to protect the surface. Some come with it, some don't. It depends what sort of batch we've got. And then the space is going to go on there. And like I said, the buttons and stuff, the adhesive, if you manage to pull them off, okay, they're still there, and it's enough to stick it on. It's not sort of a structural bond. It's just enough to hold it in place. Same with the home button. As you put this in, make sure that you get it straight according to the front. Nobody likes a wonky home button, so this is what my colleague Damien here is doing. Is making sure that he gets the little grey square, kind of looking properly in place, and straight, square, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, just pressing it down just enough to hold it in place. The home button bracket itself will do the main, this part here, once you glue this on, will do the main kind of holding it all in place, as long as all the spaces are in. And don't forget anything, just don't miss anything as you transfer it over, because even with that little white spacer, it might look insignificant, but it's a big deal. If you don't have the spacer in there, your home button will either not sit properly, sit flush, or it just won't work very well. So we've got the pre-cut adhesive. This comes in a couple of different forms. We've got this black adhesive here. That is the genuine stuff. We have this on our site. We also have the 3M, which is also used by Apple. The 3M pre-cut adhesive. They're both as good as each other, whether it be black or clear. And these little pads go either side of this home button section. Yeah, so Damien's just applying these to the home button bracket, ready to be stuck down. It's quite fiddly. What you don't want to do is be touching the surface of the glue, so you just use the backing just to put it in place, push it in place, and then you just peel that off. And what you're left there with is a couple of little white tabs, and what we'll do is just peel those off. It's just like double-sided tape, but it's not double-sided tape. We've seen some sites in repairing these, people have had a go and used carpet tape, double-sided carpet tape, you name it, to stick iPad screens down, and we get them sent in, and it's awful really that people think that they can just kind of slap screens down with carpet tape. You can't really. So there's two little holes in the back of the bracket there. They locate on two little lugs on the back of the home button, so make sure you line it up. That makes life a lot easier. The iPad 2, 3 and 4s, you had to do it by eye. But yeah, you see there's two little white holes, and that's the actual home button coming through those holes. Lines it all up perfectly. The residual adhesive on that cable should just be enough to stick it down. Obviously mine did the clear plastic that's on the back of the Digitizer protecting it. You don't want to stick it to that. It just goes underneath that copper layer. Just press it down, and it all is. It's just to hold it in place. It's not going to be structural at all. Pressing that down to there, and yeah, it's just enough to keep it in place, and then a bit of firm pressure on that bracket for the home button to make sure that is stuck to the screen. That's quite critical. And then once the home button's there, you just want to lift the Digitizer up and just sort of make sure the home button's pressing okay. Now we're going to go for the camera bracket. So I'm going to peel the plastic off there. If you check out the orientation that we're placing this on, you can see that there's more meat on the bracket to the right hand side than there is on the left. That's the only other thing is that you need to line it up by eye, this one, that the hole for the camera is smack bang in the middle, and if there's not enough adhesive on the actual bracket itself to hold it in place firmly, then you can use a little bit of your sort of pre-cut adhesive just to strip that out and stick that down. But that's the camera locator in place. Now we're going to plug the Digitizer in. As I said earlier, that is, use your fingers because you can feel when they find the home. You can put a little bit of light pressure, not there, lift off, move it around a bit, a little bit of pressure, and then they stick down. And like I said, Damien does so many of these. It's the guys in the workshop repair these day in, day out. Now I'm going to freeze frame this because you do need to know this before you go too far. Now bear with me. The home button cable here, the connector it goes into is not your standard screen connector. This is one of those quite tricky slot-in connectors. It's a ribbon cable that slots into what is a clasp. There's a clasp on the back. Now, a bit like the old 3GS LCDs, you basically slide the cable in from the front, and the clasp at the back has to be lifted. It's like a bracelet or a watch clasp. You lift it gently, you slide the cable in, and then you push it down gently using your fingertip, using no pressure at all, and you make sure that the cable is fully located all the way in with the clasp pointing upwards, the clasp on the back, the little plastic clasp. And I'm really emphasising this because if you break this, it is a world of pain for you. It really is, and it's easily broken. So with the clasp up, you slide the home button cable in, and then once you're happy that it's all fully in place and home, you then gently rotate the clasp down. And I say rotate because it does, it pivots, and then you with your finger and push it into the board gently, and you feel a little positive sort of clunk, not quite as it is on the board and it's pushed down. It's just like a clamp. That's the best way I can explain it. Be damn careful with this, guys. I really can't emphasise that enough. So moving on, obviously checking this home button cable going in and being really careful. There's the cable laid in. LCD screen comes over, and of course this is the last connection that needs to go on. Again, as I go on, Neil goes on, blah blah blah. In fact, I'll just say, look, you can get all the parts and spares and tools and help at AppleiPodParts.com. And to be honest, we also repair in the UK as well. So if you get into trouble and strife with what you're doing, you can always package it back up and get in touch with us, and then we'll organise getting it in, or we can get it repaired in one of our workshops. So the connectors themselves, use real caution in connecting them. And if for some reason you find that something doesn't work quite as straightforward as you would expect, lift the connectors, replace them down, try again. Sometimes they don't go fully in. So the bracket comes in here. If there's any little, I believe there's a little tang on the bracket that's got to go in first, so that goes in that way, and hopefully it should find its way home. And then using our screw separator tray, we'll have all the different screws in. Be able to know roughly where they go. There isn't too many screws on the iPad, which is good. Bracket's quite fiddly. It clips in place before you actually screw it down, and it will spring up because the cables want to kind of spring it up. So with the thumb there, Damien's just holding it in place, and then the screws are really fiddly, and they gently go in there. Again, if there's some age-old stories we hear, and they're not stories, they're true, whereby if you use screws that are slightly too long for that position, they can wind themselves into the board. It's a multi-layer circuit board, and even just taking the surface layer off with the screw that's too long is enough to cut a circuit and render the device useless. We see that a lot on the screen connectors of the iPhone 5, 5S, 5C, where slightly, I'm talking 0.1 of a mil, too long screw in the wrong place is just enough to cut the top of the board and cut a circuit track, and it's enough to stop it working. It's that simple. So you've got to be extra careful and make sure that they're all going in the same place that they came out of. So the 3 Phillips screws in there. Make sure the bracket's firmly there, and then looks like we should be about time to lay the LCD screen down. Again, all being really gentle because that LCD screen's fragile and really expensive. It finds its way into lining its 4 screw holes up. So the 4 screws go into the LCD on the 4 corners. My colleague's got a lint-free cloth on there just to protect the LCD screen as he does it. There's just a little bit of adhesive there. Just peel it back enough to put the screw in. 4 screws, 1 in each corner, 1 there. Little flap of adhesive there, just move out of the way on 1 screw in there. He's going to flip it around and put the 2 screws in the bottom as well. And that's the LCD in place. I've accelerated. There's not too much detail I need to mention on this one, so there you go. Job done. So the LCD is in place, which is the main display of the iPad itself. I'm going to show you this next bit. It's not critical, but we do this in-house. We use some 3M foam, and it's pre-cut foam edging surrounding the LCD screen. It used to be critical when we started doing the minis, and we use it for spacing the LCD away from the digitizer to stop the two from coming together, which formed like an oil stain mark between the LCD and the glass. It wasn't oil stain, but it's just where the 2 layers were touching. We started doing this on the minis because they were notoriously extremely hard to repair, and we were pretty much one of the only companies in the UK that were repairing them when they first came out. A lot of other places just gave up and sent them to us because they are so hard. So we put this in as a matter of course. I don't think it's 100% necessary. I'm not entirely sure we have this foam on the site either. If you really want it, then you can always ask. Drop us a message or a phone call, and we can see what we can do. But I'm going to, tell you we do it anyway. There's no point, sort of showing that. But it's just an extra measure that we do. Blow off the screen. We've already given it a wipe down with a lint-free cloth. And we use a little compressor to blow the dust off as well. Lint-free cloth, is easy for me to say, are perfect for taking finger marks off and dust as well. You can get them from most supermarkets. They cost about £5 each. They're not cheap, but they're a great cloth, and you can wash them again and again. But there's no point wiping dust off a screen with a dusty cloth. So here's the pre-cut adhesive that you can get from our site, and this is the glue that is used for around the surround. Now, again, you have to make sure that it's immaculate all the way around the screen. Plus, around the screen. Basically, anything that's going to touch the adhesive, so that is the chassis of the iPad and the screen, it has to be immaculate. And I think, to be honest, we have little alcohol wipes as well, like surgical alcohol wipes you can get from anywhere. We use that isopropyl sort of to clean and solvent the glue, any finger marks, grease, oil, finger grease, off of the grey of the back of the iPad screen, as well as the chassis as well, and that just allows the glue to stick even more because you don't want it lifting. It's that simple. The pre-cut adhesive comes, an awful lot to say, bear with me. Pre-cut adhesive comes in all the different shapes and sizes. It's a bit of a jigsaw. There's you can obviously get from the guide where we put it. Some pieces fit better than others. Some pieces you might have to trim. It's we're here to try and help you, and things that we get aren't perfect, and we have to make them fit. The pre-cut adhesive is pretty good, but you need to work out for yourself kind of where it goes, or use what you see here in the videos to do it. So we're using tweezers to lay it down, so we're not touching it with the fingers as much, as little as possible. A little bit there, obviously, but yeah, as little as possible. We touch it with any sort of anything more than that. Push it down, make sure it's attached, and then peel the backing off as you go. Or you can put it lay it all down and then peel the backing off it. I really don't want to speed this up because I think it's quite important for you guys to see what goes on, so you have to bear with me. Of course, you can speed up a bit if you want. There's no problem there at all. Just getting the adhesive ready. It's a bit of a fiddly job, but one that is a must. All the adhesive parts, accessories. No, we don't do accessories. We do glass screen guards for the iPhones, and we do chargers and leads as well. Only the genuine ones, though. So, as the adhesive gets laid down, I'm going to tell you about what you can get from our site, and also emphasise that we're here to help as well. We use these parts day in, day out. We have our own repair workshops that do domestic and commercial and industrial repairs for companies that use iPhones, iPods, iPads in the field, and for insurance companies as well. So we know what we're doing. So we're here to help. You can speak to one of the trained engineers if you need assistance. Drop us a line using the contact us link on the side of the left-hand side of the website, or give us a call during office hours, UK office hours, that is GMT, 9 AM till 5 PM weekdays, 5 days a week, and we get back to you as soon as we can. So the adhesive gets laid down all the way around. You've cleaned both surfaces. You've alcohol wiped, and I think I need to get those alcohol wipes on the website actually. Might speak to our geek department on that one, because I think they'd be quite useful. And it's just making sure that all the surfaces are clean, ready to bond together, and so that the screen stays on there, essentially. It's really tricky. Hopefully you've probably got thoroughly bored of hearing me talk, but you're well informed exactly what you need to do, and somewhere near ready to fix your iPad Air. So I finally relented, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I'm not going to cut and shut it, because you can actually stop it anytime you want and check out any detail you need, but otherwise I'm going to be yada yada on to you for the next 5 minutes. So speeding that up, plug in the website because we can, AppleiPodParts.com. Check it out for all the tools, parts and assistance that you need. iSesamo is an awesome tool. The little screw separator tray is perfect, and obviously things like screwdrivers and toolkits you need. We've got an iPad toolkit actually. I believe that's probably on the site by now. That's quite new, and that gives you a few tools. There's a little metal spatula tool as well that Damien here used to clean up the adhesive. But yeah, I can't emphasise the iSesamo is awesome, and it's a great tool for anything. Yeah, we find so many uses for it, and they last so long. Yeah, despite our heavy usage, they really do last ages. So all the adhesive layer is pretty much in place. You might have to cut and shut a few bits and bobs. You're looking to make sure that there's a nice constant layer of adhesive all the way around the screen, and on the surfaces that you need it to be. Sticking the two surfaces together. So we're about finished. My colleague's going to wrap up by cleaning the screens down a bit. The back of the Digitizer has a clear plastic sheet on anyway, so that should be relatively clean. And then we should be set to laying the screen down. There we go. Use the compressor to blow a bit of dust off. Lint-free cloth to wipe any finger marks off. Any final bits of dust on there. So we're just about ready for the screen. Now Damien's here is going to peel the backing off. Now peel it away from the screen, because any dust on that backing you don't want on your screen. So you're going to peel it, sort of top to bottom and away from your LCD, not over the top of it. And then just gently, as a rule, lift the screen over gently and put the top in first. And it's really key that you put it right up to the top and really gently, just push it down slowly. Then you go down the sides and first of all concentrate on where the cables are on the bottom right. Make sure the cables are in, the screen sits down to the chassis without any sponginess so that you're not trapping cables. And then you just work your way around the rest of the iPad to the bottom and then up the other side, and it's just gently with your fingers make sure that the screen's fully home inside the chassis, all the way up to the top, and yeah, just gently, so there's no padding involved. It all looks flush. This, as I mean by padding, is in the screen's trying to force itself off and you're trying to force it down. And then once it's powered up, a quick check of all the functionality and the touching from left to right, top to bottom, all the extremities to make sure it works. And there you have it. So I'm going to freeze frame this for a second for you and basically say, obviously we've pushed the Digitizer all around. What we'll do then is we put some masking tape clamping from the screen to the back all the way around, and then we put it in our oven at a gentle temperature of about 50 degrees for sort of 10-15 minutes, just to let the adhesive kind of soften, glue, and then we take it out with the tape still on, clamping it, and we let it air dry. I'll say air dry, air cool, so that it sticks nicely. Then we peel the tape off once we've checked it. I'd say to you, if you haven't got those sort of masking tape from front to back will clamp it in. If you've got an airing cupboard or somewhere warm, or even just want to hair dryer it a little bit, but what you're looking for, as far as that's concerned, is, or even something relatively heavy and flat on the screen, but not pushing in the middle, pushing around the edges, just to give it some clamping force to make sure that the glue pushes all the way home, because you don't want to do it with your fingers. So yeah, just put something heavy on this, I say on the screen. That sounds really bad, but just enough pressure to make sure that it glues down for half an hour, whatever, to make sure the bond's there, because you don't want it lifting. That is it. So there you go, a rather lengthy guide, and a lot of me talking and a lot of you listening, but hopefully you've got the gist of what you need to do to your iPad Air 1 to repair it. So all the parts, the accessory, I keep saying that, all the parts and the tools, AppleiPodParts.com. I've been Neil Barker. Thanks for listening, and then don't forget we use these tools in and parts day in day out, and we know what we're using, so we can help you. So use the contact us link on the left hand side of the page, or give us a call during UK office hours 9 to 5, and we'd be more than happy to help. Yeah, I'm Neil Barker. We're AppleiPodParts.com, and thanks for watching.